All right, gents, let's talk about freedom. Now, who am I? Well, I am currently walking in the Canadian wilderness, but I used to be kind of a top trainer out of 110 trainers. I used to always be coming first, second, or third when it came to sales volume. Now, pardon me, just walking my dog right now. And the reason I'm out of breath is because we're walking up and down hills. And the reason I like to go on walks, okay? So if you study any of the greats, I love Steve Jobs. Yes, he pros and cons. He had some flaws, but I love Steve Jobs. And so one thing he did he'd always take walks, and a lot of them take walks. Clears the mind. You can think, and a lot of them come up with great ideas. Even if you look at Bill Gates, sorry, here, just changing hands. Bill Gates, what he does is, I think he does like thinking or think tanks, where he goes away for a week. Kind of just has a cabin, goes away for a week, and he just reads books, thinks, and you have the time finally to think, right? Like you can finally prioritize like the real needle movers, not just in your business, but in your life. Like that's more important, right? And the only time you get that is when notifications are off, the phone is down, it's quiet, it's peaceful. That's why they call it shower thoughts, because also the shower, the warm temperature, the ambient noises with the water and stuff, like the research is clear. They kind of bring out good ideas most of the time. And again, if you study any of the greats, they all have their own little ways to kind of ideate about stuff. But nonetheless, let's talk about freedom. So, as you know, there's financial freedom. There is, as I like to call, health freedom. There is time freedom, location freedom. And so as I get older, and I work remotely now, that's why I am able to be here in the Canadian wilderness, far from a city at the moment, I am starting to value location freedom. One of the big things when I was younger, I hated having to go to a specific location to work. I never liked it. And the reason I didn't like it was just, it's not efficient. It became boring. Ultimately, I felt trapped, right? Like I have to be at this location to get paid. I have to be at this location to put in, to clock in and everything. I didn't like it. I was not a fan from day one, right? I could obviously do the work. Just changing hands here. Oh, bear with me. I could do the work. It's just I hated being at a specific location to do the work. And so that's why I love working remotely, because I can literally hop from spot to spot. I can be here. I can be back at my the city house. You have options and you don't feel trapped. The last thing I always wanted to do was feel trapped. And sometimes, yes, money, obviously, if you have it, it buys you freedom in that sense. It buys you location freedom. It obviously buys you financial freedom. But I think I value location freedom more. Just for that fact of, I don't want to feel trapped and everything. Nonetheless, I digress. Walking is a little tough right now in the snow. As you can see, it's melting, but it's also, the temperature is going down, so it's becoming very slippy. So as I try to attempt going downhill here, bear with me, but nonetheless. So, the question is, what freedom do you value? And as a kid, the one of the main freedoms I valued a lot as well was health freedom, right? I wanted muscle. I wanted to be fit. I wanted to be able to run. I wanted to be able to be athletic. So I attended all these sports, soccer, basketball, hockey, all these sports. And I also wanted to lift, right? And that came out of pain, essentially, just because I was quite scrawny as an individual. I lacked confidence. And so I thought the best kind of way to improve that was to get fit. And obviously it did help tremendously. But nonetheless, so the question to you is, which freedom do you value more? And a lot of the time, as I get older, again, I'm 26. As I get older, we really don't know what we want. You think you want it, and then you test it out, and you're like, that didn't really bring me much fulfillment. And so, I go to say that because everyone's going to be like, well, I want to become a millionaire. Yeah, no, I get that. I want to become a millionaire too. But not realistically even, but if you were to get $1 million. And the reason I learned that was money obviously helps a ton. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's the main needle mover for me, at least. But I started making a little bit more money, and you realize it didn't, you can see easily that, it wasn't, I don't think it was the main thing. The main thing that was going to really make me feel fulfilled and move the needle in my life. Rather, what was a big thing was, as soon as I started working remotely, I could obviously feel the tangible, like I could see, wow, this actually does change a lot. And maybe that will be the case. Maybe that will be the case if you do become a millionaire or whatever, right? And so it's about freedom. And which freedom do you want? And a lot of us are, again, 26. You don't pick up on it right away, right? Or you want these things, and that could come influence from social media, your friends, family, all this stuff. But you have to start dialing in on what you want, because then, if you focus on something, it usually happens. And if you're focusing on the wrong thing and you tend not to like that thing, right? Which happens a lot. Again, you think you want one thing, you kind of get it, and you're like, this is, again, it's the influence from social media and all this stuff. And so, what do you value is my next question. And I'm going to show you how to get it. So for me, it's location freedom. Whatever your value is, fitness is a little different because you have to put in the work with fitness. That's kind of the one differentiator, because you can work towards money, you can get it and everything, but fitness, you actually have to put in that hard effort, which, yes, business is obviously like that. But let's talk about how to get there. And I think there's no better option right now than potentially AI, because it is creating opportunities for everybody. It's creating opportunities for everyone, right? You have teenagers making tons of money. You have anybody. You have seniors starting to build apps just because they can, with tools like Replit, Lovable, and all this other stuff, with Claude Code and stuff. And so right now, there's no better time, because the money going into this industry is absolutely insane, right? If you were early to Bitcoin and crypto, now whatever your thoughts are, it has created immense value. Like the ones who got in, there's a complete discrepancy between whether you got in at the early days, between whether you got in now. And the upside potential on Bitcoin, if you were to get in early, you changed your life. And there's only so many times. And so, depending how old you are, you've had cycles before where you've potentially missed it. You've missed the boat, right? Like Bitcoin, I missed the boat. I was young, didn't have much money until I missed the boat. I couldn't get in early. With AI, again, there's another cycle. And so right now I'm really trying not to miss the boat. That's why I'm going all in on AI, because, it doesn't take, you don't need to be freaking an expert to understand that the amounts of money coming into this industry is absurd. Like we've never seen it before, ever in human history. And so is there a bubble? Sure. Right. There are studies suggesting that most of enterprises using AI, like 5% of it works, right? Because again, it's smoke and mirrors. There's a bubble, there's money. So it's all inflated, right? You don't really know the true value. It's like almost like altcoin season, for instance, or, a crypto bubble. Everything's just inflated and you don't understand the true value. Once that breaks, not that I'm saying we are in an AI bubble, but once that breaks, you start to understand the true face value of that asset of AI. And when it comes to AI, right? So one thing you have to really think about when it comes to AI, a cool thing was, so if you're buying businesses, for instance, which a lot of people are, like Cody Sanchez, her thing is buy boring businesses. Buying boring businesses, that actually might prove to be a smart decision as we move forward into, digitalizing everything and creating all of these agents for everything, right? So the more we become online, there might be that use case to buy boring businesses. But, I think an asset in a business, so that's how you have to think about it potentially. An asset in the business is not going to be necessarily like there's going to be new asset classes coming on. And so one of the asset classes is going to be your workflow. It's going to be the agents you build. It's going to be essentially the IP or the technology that you're building. That's going to become valuable. And when people are looking at your business, they're going to say, how many agents do you have? What type of agents do you have? To what degree are these producing real tangible results within your business? And that is going to be a big question, right? Right now, it's how much cash flow do you have coming in? What is, expected within X, Y, and Z, right? All these kind of numbers, all these metrics that you kind of look at, in the business. Eventually, it's going to be, how many agents do you have? What type of AI workflows are you consistently using, right? That is going to be of value to people because you're not going to want to do many manual tasks, right? AI is going to drastically change the workplace, right? Already is. If you look, a lot of companies they're laying off, not hiring because of AI. Now, I know there's a lot of research also that will say it's not completely AI, right? Not all of it is AI, but there's that sentiment within the market that, my goodness, these are, this is a unique, we're in a unique intersection right now. And so we'll see what happens, but AI, that's what I'm saying. Go all in on AI, right? Whether you want that financial freedom, whether you want that location freedom, time freedom, a wealth freedom, because AI allows you to kind of do that all, right? You can sell these things. And I made a video on how to sell AI. I'll link it here. Very valuable. I'm just stepping in here, but very, very valuable. So depending on what you want, again, understand what you want, right? If you're young in your 20s, start really honing in on what you want, all right? Because it's valuable. Because what you focus on is kind of what, the results you get. So really understand where you're going, what you want. Okay, it took me a very long time to understand that, and now I think I should have actually done that a while ago, right? And again, a lot of us know what we should be doing, we just don't do it. So understand what you want and go all in on AI. All in on AI. Like, this is kind of the next thing. It's going to be like personal branding and AI. Because obviously, personal branding, as you see now, everyone is going live. Everyone is starting to produce live content. The reason why, because that's the only differentiator. That's the only way you're going to be able to distinguish between whether this is actually real or not real, is by having that little live bar. And again, eventually that could be fake, but that is kind of the only way right now. And a lot of people are starting to produce content that is live. So understand what you want, my friend, at a young age. Sooner the better. And understand that AI, again, this is this unique cycle where you can get your foot in the door, and you can make absurd amount of upside in the next few months, a few years, if you kind of go all in on this, just like the early days of Bitcoin. And if you're not into Bitcoin, study what that produced for many people who did get in on the early days. I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now with AI. It only comes around so often. But watch this video next if you're wondering how to sell AI, how I would position AI so that you can get more cash, start improving maybe time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom to get to where you want to go to achieve your goals. Watch this video next. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.